The Minecraft Cave update is on its way, and along with it comes a whole bunch of new cool stuff added to Minecraft, including this very item right here. Now, excuse my voice, I'm kind of recording this at the very early morning, and I'm really not used to it, so my voice kind of changes. But anyways, the way I managed to get this new item right here and everything you can see on the screen right now is because the first Minecraft Cave Update snapshot has come out, as you can see on the very top left, Minecraft 20W45A. And today we're going to be covering the whole of the snapshot 20W45A. Now before we start, I just want you to be aware of the fact that this snapshot is a pretty laggy one, so for those with a low end PC out there and want to try out this snapshot, I recommend you not to do that, because I usually play with my monster PC. I usually play with about 200 to 300 FPS. I now got dropped to 80, 70 FPS, so yeah, this is a pretty laggy snapshot, but not for me, because thankfully I'm still over 60 FPS, which is good. And yeah, that's just something to be aware of so you wouldn't explode your PC. Now, without any further ado, let's get straight into things. So the first thing added in the snapshot right here is the new structure, the Amethyst Geode. Now if I quickly go down here into the caves, we can easily spot one. Now I remembered the place of this thing because I was trying to find one and trying to see how rare they are, and they're actually not that rare. You can find them pretty easily if you have a keen eye. So if I just fly around a little bit more, they're not that hard to find. As you can see, there are two over here, which are very close together. As you can see, there's one right here, and there is one right here. So they're not that rare, but unless you're really unlucky, you're not gonna be able to find any of those. Then you've got blocks that come with the Amethyst Geode. Now you might have spotted these two right here, the new Tuff and the new Calcite, this being the Tuff and this being the Calcite, which are two blocks I'm really fond of, to be honest. I might make a video on like tips and tricks with building with these two new blocks and all the other new blocks as well, but maybe focusing on these two because I'm actually quite fond of them, but I don't really see where they could be used, and they're really trying to brainstorm ideas. I have gotten a couple of block palettes which can be used for builds, but we're gonna look into that further down the line. Now, these are located outside of the Amethyst Geodes. Now, if I quickly fly down again, so as you can see, the outer line of the Amethyst Geode is made out of calcite, and the outer wall is made out of tuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. They're not that common of blocks, but if you manage to get tons of them, they're gonna be good for building, I assume. But as I said, I'm still brainstorming ideas for myself. So yeah, next up we've got the new Amethyst blocks. We've got the block of amethyst and the budding amethyst right here. When broken and when placed, they make a really lovely chime sound kind of thingy, as you can see. And it's really more of a bell sound. Now the reason I have a bell here is because I wanted to compare it to a bell. Now if you place it down and break it, listen up. Unlike the bell, when you break it, you get no sound, and when you place it down, it's like placing an anvil, and when you ring the bell, it's the most obnoxious thing ever. So hey, at least you have got a new thingy, a new tuning block where you can make some music other than the notes block and other than the stupid bell. Now, some information about the block of amethyst is that you cannot break it with a pickaxe. This has been announced in Minecraft Live. They did not want a player to be able to break the amethyst block. So let me try that out real quickly. Oh, we can break the amethyst blocks. I did not know that. I was actually legit very confused. Okay, then you've got the budding amethyst, which is basically the block that grows the amethyst bud and then turns into the amethyst cluster. We're gonna get back to that in a second, but I think this is the block that cannot be broken. Or do you think it's a bug? Let me try it out. Okay, yeah. So the amethyst budding is the block which cannot be broken. Now, amethyst geodes are mostly made up of blocks of amethyst and have budding amethyst where they can grow the crystals, which can actually be farmed to obtain the four stages of the amethyst buds, which then the fourth stage is called amethyst crystal. And you mine the amethyst crystal to get the amethyst shards. And as I said, they've got some beautiful tunes as well. So if I break the amethyst crystals right here, you get the beautiful tone as well. Tunes, or not tone. This is some random information about the amethyst blocks and the amethyst geodes. Now, the amethyst block can be pushed by a piston, while the amethyst budding block cannot be pushed. It immediately breaks. So that's interesting to know. So you should be careful when trying to push a whole bunch of amethyst, so you wouldn't break the amethyst budding, because there is no way of you obtaining it other than it being inside the amethyst geodes. And as I said before, it can be used for farming up the amethyst clusters, which would be quite useful. You're gonna see why in a second. And the other random thing about it is the fact that they both aren't full blocks, so this setup doesn't work. What's supposed to happen is that this repeater powers this block, which then powers this redstone dust. But since these two aren't full blocks, they're not powering the redstone dust, which is quite interesting. And same thing goes here. If I press this button, this power rail should work, but because these two blocks aren't full blocks, this does not work. And just for testing purposes, I decided to make it a block of amethyst beacon base, and that does not work. The beacon beam doesn't come out of the beacon, which is quite sad actually. Imagine how much of a flex it would be to have an amethyst, a purple beacon base. That actually looks quite cool, I will not lie. But yeah, it doesn't work sadly. Next up, we've got the copper ore, or copper in general. Now, copper ore can be found spread out in quite like clusters, you'd say, around the same level as iron and coal. So if I fly down into the caves right here, let me try to spot some copper. I think we've got some iron here, there's some coal. As you can see, they can be found in the same kind of level as iron and coal. Not really. This isn't really a good representation, but here's some more. And this isn't now the way it currently spawns in Minecraft is the same way as all other ores. And oh, that's just a ton of gravel fell on me. So currently it spawns just like any other ore in quite bundles, but in the changelog it is said that there's going to be another way of finding copper clusters, which is what I assume is the way they were talking about in Minecraft Live. So in Minecraft Live, they said you'd be able to find maybe like one copper ore, and then you're gonna have to dig quite a bit to find two more maybe, and they're just gonna be fairly spread out from each other at like a distance, a specific distance. So it's gonna be like so: find one, and they're gonna have to dig around to find a whole lot more. But currently, this is the way it spawns, just like any other ore. You can smelt the copper ore to get the copper ingot, which can be used to craft a lightning rod and then can be used to make copper blocks. Now we're gonna dive deeper into the lightning rod a bit later on. For now, let's get in with the new block. So 9 copper ingots craft up the copper block, as you can see it right here. And copper has a really interesting feature, which is it has an oxidization state. So apparently, according to the change logs, from 50 to 82 Minecraft days spent inside loaded chunks with the copper blocks, that by that time the copper blocks should have started to weather down. As you can see, you've got the lightly weathered copper blocks, and then you've got the semi-weathered copper blocks, and then you've got the weathered copper block. Now this is a bug which I have spotted while testing stuff out. As you can see, the weathered copper block has a capital A, but that doesn't really matter, which I found this quite funny actually. But yeah, that has been reported to the bug tracker, and they show by the next episode it's gonna be fixed. But anyway, so as I said, 50 to 82 Minecraft days in loaded chunks with copper blocks, then the copper blocks will start weathering down. And that's actually a pretty interesting idea with the whole kind of like uh, oxidization stuff. And I just found something out about the amethyst clusters. These are actually a full, not really a full block, but like I can stand on them and then it's gonna change my elevation. That's cool to find out. Anyways, less amethyst, more copper. Now you can use the copper blocks to make cut copper, which I assume is by using the crafting table and the crafting grid like so. Yep, as you can see, you can make cut copper using 4 blocks of copper, which is actually quite expensive. That's about, wait, that's 4 multiplied by 9, which is 36. You need 36 uh, copper ingots to make 4 cut copper. So making builds with copper is gonna be quite a grind, but I think it's gonna be worth it in the long run, especially with these textures as well, with the whole kind of like transition and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyways, these are the textures for the new blocks. We've got the cut copper, the lightly weathered cut copper, the semi-weathered cut copper, and the weathered cut copper. Now I'm pretty sure you can craft those up using the weathered ones as well, so you don't have to wait for the cut copper to get oxidized, I think. Let me try it out. Yeah, you don't have to wait for them, but they do oxidize as well. So you can craft them up in their oxidized state, or you can wait for them to oxidize from the normal cut copper or whatever state you built them in the first place. Now, next up in the copper section is the cut copper, which can be only found in the first three states of copper, because this is basically the block that has a conserved texture. So basically, if you want to prevent your copper blocks from being oxidized, what you can do is you can slather honeycomb on them, and you're gonna be able to get the waxed copper, which is basically just a version of copper with the exact same texture, just it won't oxidize. And as you can see, I made one using the normal copper blocks, which I forgot to show off, which doesn't really matter. It basically has the same texture, but as I said, they do not oxidize, so you can make waxed copper using the first 3 oxidized states, and then of course you can't do that with the last stage, because what's the point? It has already oxidized, and well, it's gone forever from the previous stages. Copper blocks works in the same manner as any other block in Minecraft, any other normal block, kind of, with the whole redstone and the pushing and stuff like that. But one thing I have noticed, that you cannot use it for a beacon base. Now I thought this would have been a great idea to test out, because it is technically an ore block, kind of, so it would have made sense for it to work as a beacon base. But I guess it also makes sense that it doesn't work as a beacon base. But when I found that out, I was actually quite sad. So yeah, and about the copper ingot, you cannot use it to power up a normal beacon. So first off, it's not in the section right here, and you cannot shift click it in, neither can you click it in manually into the slot. So yeah, copper ingot cannot be used in beacon purposes. Now we're gonna go back to the lightning rod. Now, a few things about the lightning rod. First of all, as you saw before, they can be placed vertically, and as you can see right now, they can be placed vertically. They can also be placed upside down. So if I break this block, place it down like so, it is placed upside down, which is a pretty cool feature. They can also be placed horizontal like so, which is also a pretty cool feature. And those basically save your like non-fireproof house from getting struck by lightning. So if you're on a rainy day, and you've got thunder and stuff, and you've got thunder everywhere, but all your builds are made out of wool or wood or something like that, and you've got fire spread on, so you don't want, and you've got the risk of getting of your house getting hit by lightning and then burning down. So this is where the lightning rod comes into place. This basically, what it does, it saves an area of 4 by 64 around it, um, from getting struck by lightning. So it seems like there is no lightning deciding to hit us right now, but what I'm gonna do is summon lightning, and as you can see, no, wait, the thing is, if you summon lightning using commands, it's gonna summon on the same very block. So we're just gonna test out our luck and see if lightning hits the lightning rod. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter, because you're just gonna have to take my word out for it. And as you saw right there, lightning struck on the lightning rod. I totally missed it because I was trying to do slash weather clear. But yeah, as you saw, thunder hit the lightning rod, and only the lightning rod, nothing, no fire, nothing else. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You can place it, as I said, on your non-fireproof houses to save it from burning down. Something interesting about the lightning rod is the fact that, first of all, it is found in the creative menu in the redstone section, which means it can transmit redstone. Now, the way it does that is by getting hit with lightning. As you see, I summoned a lightning bolt, and then we got a redstone signal of 15. So you're gonna have to take my word for it. I really wasn't bothered to make 50, a line of 15 redstone dust. If I hit this block right here, this copper thing, this copper rod with lightning, we will see that, oh, that doesn't work. That does not work. Interesting. What if I do this and place it upside down, and then maybe it's gonna work? No. So there is no way of hiding your redstone signal, like when it's placed near a lightning rod, which is actually quite a pain. Who wants to see a redstone line going out from the lightning rod? Right here we've got one new miscellaneous block added to the game, and two new items. We've got the Spyglass, which I've showed you in the intro, and then we've got the bundles, as you can see right here. Now we're gonna get to the bundles at last of this section, but first off, let's start with the Tinted Glass, which is the new miscellaneous block. Now the way you craft them up is using 4 amethyst shards and 1 normal glass, so you cannot use any sort of stained glass. You have to use the normal glass. You put it right there in the center along with 4 shards around the sides, and you get 2 tinted glass. Now what is tinted glass? Tinted glass is basically normal glass, just doesn't let in any light through it. So as you can see, if I make this small structure right here, there is no light inside there. Now to prove to you that they are different from normal glass, first of all, they do not let the grass spread, and second of all, the difference is quite clear actually. So here the light does go through and all is normal, but here if I break the block there is no light. If I put it down, there is no light. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool feature. I can see myself using it quite often, because the best thing about it is that you can even look through it. Even if you were in the darkest of rooms, you can look through it, and the room will still be dark, which I found pretty, like, awesome, if I say so myself. So yeah, anyways, that's a tinted glass. Some information about it: it can be pushed and pulled just like normal glass, I assume, and it isn't a full block. It's just like normal glass. It doesn't transmit redstone signal. So yeah, next up we've got the Spyglass, as you can see right here. Now the Spyglass has been revealed in Minecraft Live, and the way you use it is basically hold it in your hand and right click, and it acts like just like the zoom feature. As you can see, I'm zooming in. Now there is quite a limit to it, so just like Optifine Zoom where you can see everything. So yeah, because it is too good, so you can only see through the whole kind of little holy thingy, the circular thingy, which I think is quite illegal. Should have been square, but you know, it is what it is actually. So yeah, the way you craft up the spyglass is using 2 copper ingots and 1 amethyst shard, and using those 2 items you can make yourself one little spyglass, which I think can be used in really cool situations. And there's also one silly thing about the spyglass. If I go in thingy mode, if I go in F5 mode and right click, as you can see, it's supposed to be aimed at my eye, but the thing is, um, my face covers my no my arm covers my whole face, which is quite silly. And I think if you put it in your offhand, yeah, it does that with this with the left eye and the opposite eye. So that's actually a pretty cool idea. Anyways, that's that for the spyglass. Next up, we've got the bundles, as you can see right here. Now, what are bundles? Bundles are basically the new way of managing your inventory. Now, let's say you've gone on like a trip to the nether or something, and you forgot to empty out your inventory. You've got a whole bunch of stuff, and you really need to clear them out. So let's say you've got 1 snowball. Hold on, let me get some snowballs. There we go. So let's say you've got your hotbar filled with tools. You've got a couple of other stuff like an arrow just in case you need them, for your infinity bow, and let's say you just putting a flint and steel in your inventory, a pair of shears, and your ender chest maybe. Then you've got tons of blocks which you're going to need to build something. Let's say you've got all these stems and stuff, but then you've got a whole bunch of other random stuff like 4 polished granite. Like, why the hell would you have 4 polished granite? It just is what it is. Your inventory is always clustered. Now this is where the bundles come into play. You can click on them, hold them in your cursor kind of thing, and then right click on stuff, and as you can see it will slowly fill up, and then there's a durability bar underneath it. Now I might make a video on how to use it and how not to use the bundles. I think I'm gonna actually do that because that will be a pretty useful video for those who have no idea what's the best way of utilizing the bundles. Now one more thing about the bundles is the fact that if you store a non-stackable item in them, that counts as a whole stack. So the limit to a bundle is a whole stack of any random items, but if you put in one non-stackable item, that's the limit. You cannot put anything else. And by the way, before you start thinking, oh, I can put 64 shulker boxes, or just 64 shulker boxes, yeah, of stuff in the bundles. Well, you can't even put shulker boxes, let alone putting 64 in them. So yeah, Mojang know their limits, and they have done a wise move by making these rules. Now the way you craft up the bundle is by obtaining 6 rabbit hide and 2 string, which is actually quite an interesting recipe, and one which wasn't really that expected, and it's going to be really hard to craft up because rabbits are an annoying mob, and to get 6 rabbit hide from them you have to follow rabbits forever and ever and ever to get rabbit hide, or maybe just make a trap. But the thing is, it's really hard for a person to kill a rabbit. Like, seriously, why would you want to kill this thing? I mean, for its hide to craft bundles, but seriously, like, it's a rabbit. What harm is it gonna do to you? Why do you have to kill it, for God's sake? Next up, we've got the candles. Now, this is gonna be a fun one. First of all, as you can see, candles, as you want to figure out, candles are indeed a light source. So if I set it to nighttime slash the midnight or something like that, there we go. Oh, these aren't actually a light source. I legit thought these were a light source, but oh no, the light source come from there. Okay, what if I? These are not a light source. I see. So they're just for pure decoration. I actually thought they were a light source. I didn't really notice until now. That's actually pretty interesting to find. But anyways, so what we thought were a light source aren't a light source. But that doesn't really matter. I guess their main purpose is indeed for decoration. Maybe this is just a bug. Light candles doesn't light up areas around them. I bet that's already on the backtracker, so it doesn't really matter. I don't really have to report it. Anyways, so interesting facts about the candles. Candles act in the same behavior as sea pickles, where you can cluster them together, and apparently they float, so you can have them floating around, and I see that being used in quite a few things. Now let me set it to daytime first and weather clear, because we want to make this video as good of a quality as possible. Candles apparently can float. They act in the same behavior as sea pickles, where you can cluster them together in groups of 4, as you can see right here, and apparently they don't act as a light source. They do not emit light, which is pretty interesting. They come in all 16 variants of colors, as you can see, and there's also an additional one, which is the non-colored one. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We've got 17 different colors of candles. Now, as far as I know, candles cannot be crafted. So if I do slash recipe, give me candle. Actually, you can craft them up. No recipes were learned. So how do I craft up a candle? So to craft up a candle, you need honeycomb and a piece of string. I did not know that. Well, that's interesting to know and more useful information for the video. So yeah, treat your eyes, honeycomb and one string craft up a candle, which is actually quite interesting. This update gives a bit more like utility and usefulness to the honeycomb. So you're gonna need to get the honeycomb grinding on if you want to get your hands on some pretty cool stuff. Anyways, more facts about the candles. The candles are lit up with the flint and steel. You might have figured that out from looking at me trying to figure out why they weren't emitting any light. So as you can see, just right click on the candles and they get lit up. And for bundles and more than one, you don't have to right click more than one time. So let's say you've got three candles, you can just right click one time and all three of them will light up. Same with one, same with two, and same with four. The best thing about the candle is the fact that you can actually place it on cake and actually light it up. So if I get my trusty flint and steel and right click a cake with a candle on it, as you can see, it lights up, kind of, the texture lights up, and you've got the little flame, so you can make happy birthdays. You can make you can make your friend a birthday. So let's say it's your friend's birthday on the server. You can come up to them like so, have a cake, have a candle, and then your flint and steel, and be like, light it up, and then happy birthday to you. That's actually pretty hilarious if I say so myself, and I absolutely love this feature. It really is cool. You can place any colored of candles on them, and if you start eating the cake, by the way, the candle will get dropped, so it's not wasted. You will still have the candle, and the beautiful tasty cake is gonna lie down inside your belly, which is one hell of a good way for a cake to go. Small tiny bits and bobs about the candles. First off, you cannot push them using a piston, they will immediately break. Second off, you can light them using a flint and steel inside of a dispenser. So we've got a flint and steel inside this dispenser. If I use it up, as you can see, the candle gets lit up. Same thing with thingy. So if I get myself a candle, same thing with the cake, and I'm gonna put a candle there. You're gonna see why in a second. So even a candle on a cake can be lit up using a flint and steel using a dispenser, which is actually pretty cool. I love that. I love that feature, and I love how it works. Now, the reason I have another dispenser separated between the candles and the cake with the candles is because I have fire charges inside of these dispensers. Now, I've done a bit of testing, and this actually works. So if I flick the lever, okay, that time it's missed. That time it's also missed. That time is also missed. Now this is just luck based, to be honest, because it really depends on where the fire charge goes. And okay, slash weather clear. We don't need rain. Rain, go away. It's gone. Okay, let's try that out a bit more. Trust me, it works. Trust me. I swear it works. Come on, don't embarrass me here. Do I need clusters of 4 to make... that is a cluster of 4. Okay, let me try placing it down. Come on, work. Yeah, there we go. As you saw, the fire charge hit the candles and it got lit up. Same thing with the cake. Now, thankfully, the cake has a bigger hitbox, so it will be easy for us to see it light up. And as you can see, it has lit up the candle, which is a pretty cool feature. Lastly, we've got some miscellaneous changes and a couple of stuff which have been added in for technical purposes and stuff like that. I don't really know, but just small minor stuff which have been added in the snapshot as well. First off, you can store lava inside of a cauldron. You weren't able to do that, and you can go inside and bath inside a cauldron made filled with lava, which is pretty cool, but I don't really see why that would be useful because you could easily die. Next up, you can find fireworks inside of the recipe book. Previously, we weren't able to do that, and it would be really annoying to craft up fireworks. So you're gonna have to bring paper and then gunpowder and then craft them up. Now you can simply have those in your inventory, click on them in the recipe book, and then you can immediately craft them. Now this only works with flight duration 1 rockets. You cannot find flight duration 2 and flight duration 3 rockets inside of the recipe book, which is actually quite sad because many people use flight duration 3. I personally use them quite often, and I actually think I'm gonna switch to flight duration 2 because flight duration 3 is really an overkill. Anyways, a couple more stuff. First off, minecarts and minecarts rails can be placed underwater without breaking, and you can have a functional minecarts underwater. So if I push this right here, as you can see, it drove off into the soul sand, and yeah, all as well. The rail isn't broken, and you can place down pretty much every single type of rail under the water. So if we get all of them in, we've got the detector rail, we've got the power rail, activator rail, and the detector rail and the power rail. Yeah, stuff and nonsense. And yeah, one thing about this, by the way, if you want to make underwater roller coasters using soul sand and stuff like that, as you saw me push the minecart into soul sand and it immediately launched off. Now that doesn't work if you have the rail on top of the soul sand. So if you have rail on top of the soul sand, the thing will immediately disappear, the bubble elevator thingy. Now, last but not least, candles can actually be waterlogged, but logically speaking, of course, they cannot be lit up. So they can be just used for underwater decoration, which I'm fond of. I know that they cannot be lit up because it just makes logical sense, and it really isn't that big of a deal if it gets lit up or it doesn't. So, yeah. Anyways, that's it for today's video and for this week's snapshot. If you want to see more of this sort of stuff, be sure to like, also consider subscribing, as that will be greatly appreciated. I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow my Instagram right there on the top right of the screen. And for now, I'll see you guys in the next video. Farewell, lads.